How's it going, everybody? Jody in here, and we're back in Stormworks again. As you can see, this is quite possibly one of my favorite engineering games. And, even though it does have some really wacky physics. Anyway, so today what we're going to be talking about is the much anticipated, highly sought after crab pot update. We finally got crab pots. We had the fishing update for a little while, and they finally added crab pots. The fishing update, I do believe I did a video on that, and you can find it on my channel as well. But now we're dealing with crab pots, and crab pots are kind of an interesting thing here in Stormworks, because if anybody's watched shows like Deadliest Catch, you'll know that you can't do, at least not really, you can't do what you actually do in that show. Whereas, throw crab pot off with a floater and then, whip a hook out and pull it in and, use a pulley system to bring it all in. And so you can't really do that in Stormworks. The rope physics aren't that good. They're not that impressive. So the way you kind of have to do crab pots in Stormworks is a little hacky, but not quite. And this is my crab pot. This is the crab pot design that I did. Of course, on a crab pot you need a floater, so you can of course retrieve it, and then you have to have your crab pot, and you have to be able to get your crab pot on the bottom while your floater's on the top. So of course you're going to use some kind of winch between them, and that's what I have here. But now these are some high-tech crab pots that I've designed, as you can no doubt tell by the visible buttons and solar panels on them. So let me quickly take you inside, if I dare, of one of these crab pots. I'm just going to use the selection grid to cut it in half here, so we can look inside. And, and I can show you what's going on. So we'll just grab it like this, and we'll do a quick little cut. We'll do a quick little move, and we'll do a quick little paste. Just like that. Of course, I'm not going to save it like this, but we'll see it. Okay, so when we're looking inside our crab pot, you can see there's already quite a bit in here. On this top side, not so much, because we do need air. We need the thing to float, so we do need air spaces. So what I've done here is I put most of the systems in the bottom and most of the air up top of the floater. So now we have the winch. The winch will give us 40 meters, which honestly isn't that much in the scheme of things, the long scheme of things, but it's the best we can do. So 40 meters is where we're at. We can't really place these pots any deeper than about 35 to 38, or the floater won't reach the top of the water. So that's kind of the caveat. That's kind of the restriction that we have. I would love to put a 100-foot winch on here, but just looking at or 100-meter winch on here, I should say. But just looking at the 100-meter winch, you can see why that's just not possible. It's the size of the floater almost. There's no way. So we are stuck with the 40-meter winch, which is what I have installed on the bottom here. And up from that, it's kind of hard to see, but it is there. Right in this spot right here, directly above the winch, right here, you can kind of see an outline of it there. There's an altimeter. And what that altimeter does is reads the altitude of the buoy. Now we want that as low as possible in the buoy, so that when the buoy's in the water, it reads a negative altitude. So it's going to read that it's below sea level, because we of course have it in the sea. So it's going to read that it's below sea level. And that is basically our winch trigger to let the crab pot down. So the winch is set to as fast speed as it can go, so that when the buoy hits the water, it lets out the winch as fast as it can go. And then, of course, when you pull the buoy out of the water, it reels in the winch. And all that's done by this little computer right here. This is my crab pot buoy controller. And basically all the buoy controller does is exactly that. It says if the altimeter is above the water, raise the pot up. If the altimeter is below the water, raise the pot down. That's all it does. That's it. So we have that little controller there. And we also have a number here. I'll get to that in a minute. You can see right now it's currently set to 1,000. Yeah, I'll get to that in a minute. Over here we have hardpoint connectors. And you might do, why do you have a hardpoint connector? Why are you using missile launcher stuff? The reason for that is because these hardpoint connectors have batteries in them. They are basically a 1x2 battery. So just like the other battery. So we have this 1x2 battery, but if you look, the mass of this 1x2 battery is 10. If we look at a hardpoint connector, the mass of a hardpoint connector is only 2. So we just removed 8 pounds or 8 kilograms or whatever you want to use, whatever we've removed a mass of 8 by using a hardpoint connector instead of a battery. So I plopped on 2 of them. So I've actually saved 16 mass by using 2 hardpoint connectors instead of just having 2 batteries in there. Now, there's a lot of other crap in here. We have, starting from the top down, we have a GPS module. Okay, and then we have down here a radio antenna. You see the antenna? That is a medium antenna. Over here we have a constant. Is that the constant number? We have a constant number on the one side. We have a constant on the other side. So that's what that kind of makes up our detection system. We have the GPS system. We have a constant number, a constant on, and a radio. And we have all of those hooked together through this guy up here. This is just a number to composite. So what this will do is take 2 numbers, turn them into a composite signal for the antenna. And that's all this guy does. If I go into this microcontroller, you can see, there you go. Input number 1 goes to channel 1, input number 2 goes to channel 2, turns it into a composite number, and bam, that's all it is. Very simple, very straightforward. Now the reason I do that is because you can't transmit a number. You can't send a number across a radio signal. You have to send a composite signal or an audio signal, something along those lines. You can't just send a number. It doesn't work. There's no option to do that. So I have to turn the numbers from the GPS. So you can see that here. Here I get the X and the Y from the GPS, X and a Y, and I convert it in this to a composite signal, and I send that composite signal out the antenna. Data send. So what I'm doing is taking the GPS coordinates, converting it to a signal, and sending the signal out. That's basically what it's doing there. So, a few other things to note, or just basically one other thing to note, is at the top I have an electric connector. The reason I decided to go with an electric connector is because they have a slight magnetic pull to them, to other electric connectors, which makes it a little bit easier to grab the pot using a crane or, you know, manhandling it into position by a crane, whatnot. So that's the buoy. So now let's load up the crab boat. This is the crab boat. As you can see, it has many buoys. This is where things get a little more complicated, because now you can see I've had to number the buoys. All the buoys have individual numbers. I copied and pasted the buoy, but I had to go back and give all the buoys their own unique number, because if I'm sending the same radio signal, I'm going to have every single buoy talking to me on the same radio channel. And that's not going to work. So every single buoy, this is why I had the constant number in there, every single buoy has to have its own radio signal. All the way up to 25, which is hiding over here. 1025. So every buoy has its own signal, which means if I want to find a specific buoy, I tune to that specific radio signal and get that specific information. Now all that is handled on the bridge over here, where I have my pot station. And you can see on the wall there I've wrote pot frequency 1001 to 1025. I have this top reading is my GPS location. This bottom reading is the tuned pot's GPS location. And then there's some complex math that happens behind the scenes to make that work. Now, I get my GPS, or I should say I got the pot GPS via this antenna up here on the top. This is the radio here. This is the pot radio here. So I take the composite in signal from the pot radio. Go back to here. So I take the composite in. So this is the data receive from the pot radio. Read it into this, which is basically the opposite of what I have on the pots. What this does is takes the composite and turns it out to the numbers, the two GPS numbers. So it reads the two GPS numbers. It'll display them here. So your GPS X and Y for the pot. And then it has a calculator over here to tell me, which way I need to steer and how far away that pot is. And there's some serious complicated math in here. I'm not going to run you through it. I had to basically get the formulas online because I am not a mathematician by any means. So I had to get the formulas online, and then I put them in this box, and magic happens. And I get my distance. Actually, yeah, here I get my distance. That's the distance, and I get my output to a dial, which basically tells me which direction I need to turn to get to that pot. It doesn't. I tried using a bearing, like give me a bearing, but the bearing math didn't kind of work out. So there were a few tutorials online that show you how to how to create an autopilot so it'll steer left and right to a GPS location. So I was like, hey, I can use that. I can use that autopilot tutorial to basically write up, okay, if it wants me to steer left, then I just have this GPS target display go to the left, or like point left, and if it wants to turn the boat right, it just points right. Instead of having it actually control the rudder, it just controls this little indicator and says, hey, go left or go right, or and what varying degree to go left and right. So I figured that would be the easiest way to do that. As you can see, there's a lot more control systems in this boat. I got control systems for the for the anchor. I got control systems for the crane. I have a lot of control systems for the crane. And other aspects of the ship. So there's a lot going on the ship. Basically, all you need to know for the crabbing stuff is that on this side I have the GPS system over here, which I can punch in the number. I can punch in the tuning number here. It tunes to that. It tunes the radio antenna to that frequency, and then I get the data from that crab pot and calculate it out, and it tells me where I need to go. That's basically it. That's all there is to that section of the ship. So let's without further ado, we'll spawn this in, and we'll go place a pot, drive away from it, and then find it, and then hopefully recover it. Always a little bit of a hang up here when the boat spawns in. The game is kind of like, what the fuck are you doing to me? Whee! Okay. So here we are on our crab boat. You can see I left little memos behind. Like, this is our depth at the rear keel. I put less than 35 because the keel is underwater by a certain number already. So if we go to the back of the boat here, you can see there's the keel right there. There's the reading I'm getting. And you can see it's already a decent amount underwater. So you don't want to be any further than 35, or your buoy's not going to float. And there's our yeah, they don't stand upright after you've spawned in. They all like to lay down. They're tired. They're having a nap. Okay, let's get out, and unfortunately, as you're going to see, we don't actually go that far offshore to do this. Because, like I said, if we actually wanted to go, way out, we would need buoys that would be hundreds of, well, at least 100 feet. At least 100 feet. And it's just, I would not want to do that. I would not want to try to create a buoy that's got 100-foot worth of winch on it. That seems like a monumental task. So we'll turn our nav lights on. We got forward spotlights. We got all that good stuff. I don't make fantastically detailed ships. I do have what I need to have on board them. But as far as the super fantastical ships that are highly detailed, that is not me. So we got a gearbox ahead, throttle up. Start to move out from the dock. Then we'll hot foot it. So now this reading here, this is my distance to the GPS target and my GPS target. This is going to be askew because right now I'm reading my GPS location and the pot's location is at 00. So it's going to actually point me to 00 because I'm not currently tuned to a pot. So basically this is, you need to ignore this until you actually have a pot entered. I'm probably gonna reprogram the thing so if the actual location of the pod is 00, it doesn't put out any information. So I'll probably retune that eventually. I just haven't gotten around to it yet. So we're coming up on 30. We'll do a little turn here. We'll bring her down. Because again, we don't want to really be over 35, which we're going to end up going over 35 while we make our turn here. But we're going to bring it around and head kind of that way across that island, which should bring us back under 35. And you'll see them do this in the show. They'll run ridges. They'll basically run ridges, and at certain depths. So it's not completely unrealistic. So we're going to bring it back this way, and we'll get ourselves in close enough that we're about 35. Alright, we're about 35.0. Okay, so we should be good here. Now, I built this boat so that you would have multiple players using it. I have not, like I said, I haven't finished all the details. This is just the working model. I haven't put in any details. There's going to be like staterooms and stuff in front here, or bedrooms and whatnot, and cafeteria and whatever. But for now, this is just the proof of concept that it actually works. Okay, so I have all the crab pots behind a barrier because, you know, there's not really a way to secure them. So I have them behind a barrier. I figured that was the easiest way to do it. I have a storage gate that lowers into the floor. We swing our crane around to grab pot number 1. Now I wanted my pot to be able to do a full 180 degrees. So you'll see I did it in sections. I have 2 sections to my crane because this one will do 90 degrees, this one will do 90 degrees, so I can go a full 180 degrees on my pots, or on my crane. All of these have connector releases to turn off the connector on the end, because if I had the connectors all active, they would all be trying to grab to themselves. So what I do is I turn this off, and then it's ready to go. And just like Deadliest Catch, we got to climb up on the pots and to get them all straightened around. Push that out. Okay, good to go. Let's grab her. So we're gonna have to bring the boom in a little bit. Okay, lower down. And we gotta swing her out a little bit. There we go. And down. There we go. Got our crab pot. Winch her up. And raise our arm. And swing her back around. Hopefully one pull out. Let her out as far as she'll go. There we go. And swing her. Whoop, other way. Swing her. So of course, on like co-op, if you had a player sitting here, they would be getting all the pots set up, and then you can close the storage, so the pots don't go anywhere. They would be doing all this. You'd be up on the bridge, driving along nice and slow. You know, driving along the ridge nice and slow. They can see right here what the depth is at, so they know not to release if it's above 35. And we are at 34.7, so we are good for release. So we'll bring our crane down. And I set the speed really fast on the crab pot so that we can practically just drop it at we don't even really need to lower it down. We could just release it like so. And then you can go see the pot itself, that'll stay at the top because it's releasing fast enough that the crab pot can't drag it, isn't going to drag it down. So the buoy stays at the top, floating, and the crab pot goes all the way to the bottom. And then you drive off, you drop your next one. Now, I'm not going to do that because I'm just showing you guys how this works. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to sleep for a day. Oh, wait a minute. I screwed up. I forgot I have the override time turned on so it didn't go night. There we go. Now we're spinning. So sleep for a day. Actually, let's sleep for 2 days. Let's give her 2 days. And then we'll drive away. I'll show you finding the pot. Yeah, mission failed, I know. Oh, okay, it's just woke us up. Alright. Can't sleep any longer than a day, apparently. We'll see about that. Alright, so let's take us away from this pot. And we'll set our... This is 1001. So we'll set our GPS here. 1001. And watch the numbers on the bottom here. When I set that. Boom. So it knows where that pot is. It can read that pot location. Now, because this is the first pot, if we get to a distance, and it's only using a medium antenna, so if we get to a distance of over 1,000, we're going to lose that radio signal. So we don't necessarily want to get to a distance over 1,000, but what you do want to do is when you drop your first pot, you want to record its location, so you know where to go. And I'm going to have a way to actually override this and enter a manual location as well. So we're kind of out here now. We're heading away. I'm going to follow my GPS, which is telling me to turn towards the island because I dropped the pot off on that side. I'm gonna swing this way. See, if I turn this way just slightly, you see how it flipped? It's like, hey, it's over that way now. So we're at 600. Like I said, we're gonna lose the signal if we go over 1,000. So we don't want to go over 1,000. You don't want to put more than 1,000 between your pots. Anyway, so we'll swing her around here. We're going to bring your speed down just a little bit to expedite the turn a little more. And you can see how my indicator's starting to line up. Now my GPS is over there. I have to keep mindful that my GPS is over there. So if I'm going straight at it, it's actually going straight at that side of the boat, not this side of the boat. So I got to keep mind on that. I'm probably going to end up moving the GPS over here and putting it straight in line with the wheel. Because I wasn't thinking when I did that, and I had actually put the GPS module over there. So we're coming back straight, and you can see we're now pretty much bang on. Pretty close anyway. And we're about 500 meters away. Can't see it. It's too far out. You see, there's no... I don't have a visual on it. I have no idea where it is out there. About 400. They are fairly hard to see. Which is why it's nice having this little direction thing to tell you where to go and how to get there. Basically, I think that's it, right? I think I saw something right there. Okay, so anyway, I gotta throttle down because we're coming up on it. So to simulate kind of the hook throwing and whatnot, you do that with your winch here, or your crane. So you swing your crane out a little bit further, like so. You lower it down to almost the water level, which is kind of hard to tell where the water level is, but you lower it down to somewhere almost the water level. I think it's in the water now. Maybe a little higher than that. Something like that. And then you make sure your magnet's turned on. So it's kind of like just dangling above the water like that. And then Now it's your driver's job to bullseye the thing. And this is kind of simulating the throw, because the driver has to... Oh, yeah, that's it right there. I can see it right there. We're 200 away. So we're going to do a little shot here, and then we're going to slow down once we're a little closer here. Let's go at it at about maybe 3. So you can see you got your rope out there. Now it's up to 5. You see you got your rope out there. You can see your pot. Now your captain, if he's a good captain, is gonna get lined up with that pot and grab that. I got shit swinging here, so I don't know how well this is gonna work, but we'll see. I have only attempted this once, and it took me 3 tries. So we'll see how this goes. I attempted this once before I did this video. It took me 3 tries to do it. So we'll see if I can bang it in this video. It is not easy. And I'm pretty sure I'm not gonna get it. No, I am way too far out from it. Way too far out. So in this event, there's a few things you can do. On the deadliest catch, the pucker into reverse. You hope you don't get your lines tangled in your... Pucker into reverse, and I like, throw it again, you bastard! This time make it count! Oh, she's gonna dip too far, and now I'm too far on the inside. Oh, no, I missed. Oh. Oh, not my throttle. The gearbox. Forward gearbox. Let's try her again. One more try here. Oh, we can do this. We can do this. Oh, line her up, line her up, line her up. Do I got it? Do I got it? Do I got it? Ah, come on! Grab it! So close. Not as easy as it looks. Not as easy as it looks. Now, I could come up with some kind of complex, system to like automatically magnet them in and grab them and, that kind of stuff. Or like a catch system on the side of the boat that'll lower into the water to catch them. But I just think this is... Yes! We got it! Alright. So we'll leave our boat going forward. On to the next crab pot, which isn't in the water, but... We've got the crab pot! Raise it up! We'll raise the crab pot up. Winch it in. You'll hear it start to do its winching. The crab pot is winching itself up. We're winching the crab pot up. Pot's winching its pot up. Holy crow, we got some crabs. Bring the crane in. Because now we got to take it to the loading table. Or the offloading table. Whatever you want to call it. Sorting table. We don't really have to sort them in this game. Because they're already sorted. There is no such thing as a small crab in this game. So we put them on the sorting table. Or above the sorting table. There we go. And then we got it just like the show. You got to go to the crab pot. You got to get them out of the crab pot. But we're not quite there. Not quite there. So we're gonna bring the crane down, and our boom's out all the way, isn't it? Yeah, our boom's out all the way. Okay. Have a smidge. Swing it in there. There we go. Okay. Yeah, I made some adjustments up here so I can actually have this come in and out, and I guess I didn't put it far enough, because it should be a little tiny bit farther than that. So the crab pot is directly over the table. I'll have to make an adjustment to that. Or it could also be because the boat's moving. Slightly this way. Yeah, we're over the crab pot now. Okay, down. You still want to sit on that top edge instead of going all the way in. We'll wrestle you in, just like they do on the show. There you go. You're in now. Oh, and we got to release the crab from here. So unload crab pot. So you see the... Well. You jerks. You jerks. Yeah, jerks. I got three of them went into the... Yeah, jerks. Oh, God. They're all escaping. Well, now we're actually sorting. See, when I tested this, they all went in. I think my problem this time was I was being a little too cautious, and I unloaded it too close. What are you? Look at you. Big coconut crab. I think I was being a little too cautious, and I unloaded it a little too close to the table. I think there has to be a little bit of a gap between the pot and the actual table. Plus, my boat's moving. During my test, I didn't have the boat moving. Anyway, let's crane up, get the pot out of there, and we will lower the gate, put the pot back, put her back in storage. Somewhere around there. It'll flip it into the proper spot anyways. Release. Get our crane out of the way. Oop. Okay. Turn that back on. So, before we put the pot away, we need to set the... Side's it on this side? Ah, the connector. Once again, so they don't all mash together. And then we can close the storage. Lock them up. Okay, so now we have our crab in the sorting table. But we do have an onboard storage. We can't store all the crab in the sorting table. So I have this little thing here, which shifts the sorting table over to, you can see a little vacuum duct over here. And what you see is you'll see everything come out of here. It's all getting sucked out of the... Well, just like that. Move the table back into position. So now it's all sorted, it's all dumped into storage. And you can see over here that we have 16 crab in our storage. And this gauge is actually set to show the maximum amount of storage we have. So 16 is barely touching it. I think total storage on this boat is like 1,800 or something like that. And this is our offloader here. Our offloading hopper. You can see it goes right into the storage. So it has access to the full storage, which is in the boat. And then once you get to the dock, you use the vacuum hopper that's on the dock to vacuum out of that and sell your catch. So pretty straightforward, pretty fun. So yeah, like I said, this is set up for co-op. So you'll have one person back here, you'll have one person piloting, and you may or may not have one person on the radio, on the crab pot radio, or running around the deck while somebody's doing the crane. You'll have them running around the deck doing this. So it's basically a 3-man boat, I would think, which is pretty much the same as my fishing trawler. For those of you who remember my fishing trawler, actually, I'll give a quick look at my fishing trawler. So anyway, that's my crab boat. I think it's all right. I had fun building it. I had a lot of fun building it. Everything on this one is custom. I built this one from scratch, which was kind of a pain in the ass, but it came out really well. So yeah, this one was a really fun build. Now, my fishing boat, I didn't quite build from scratch. The hull was a workshop build, but I heavily modified it. Heavily modified it, and ended up with this design. It started out as a tugboat, as you can tell. It started out as a tugboat, and I turned it into a fishing boat. So the hull was part. It was the part that I kept. I built the bridge on top of it, which is kind of why the bridge doesn't really sit right, which you'll see when I'm just gonna take you on it anyways, just for fun. We'll go hop on it because I don't know when the last time I showed this boat was, and I probably made some changes to it since then. So we'll hop on the fishing trawler. Okay, the first thing you got to do when you're on a fishing trawler is get all your winches, because the winches don't start winched in. I don't know why, but they don't start winched in. So we'll winch them all in. So we get that winched in, we get that winched in, and then we need to retract the net so the nets come up out of the water and are nice and tight. There we go. Beauty. And we got to do the same thing for our main station here. All winches in. And then bring our net in. Retract it up. And as you can see, this is also a 3-person ship. You'll have one person driving, one person manning that station, one person manning this station. And of course you can do some manual fishing if you want. There's 3 fishing rods. So we'll run out on this boat really quick here. This one has a different helm design, of course. It's got a center design because I don't have to pick up crab pots on this one. So we got all of our stuff here. And nav lights on. Starboard anchor, port anchor. And we've got our throttle over here, which is controlled with WASD. This one does not have a gearbox. It is forward only. Which can be fun at times. Oh wait, it does have a gearbox, but it's a push button gearbox. All right, so let's head out. Moving at about 13, 14 knots. out from the dock. So I did make a lot of changes. I did do a lot of additions to this boat. Like I said, pretty much the only thing that's workshop on this boat is the hull, and even that I changed. I redid the top section. I redid this back section. I enlarged it. I made it a lot longer than it originally was. Because I think it only came back to these wheels here. That's as far back as it came, was to that tire there. I added this back here, these extra tires plus this whole back section. So I made some pretty major adjustments to this thing, and I did the back end here. The bridge, I built the bridge. Look, we got a tornado off in the distance. Yeah, I did the bridge. It's off another ship that I designed. I like to do these out bridges where the glass goes out. It starts at the bottom and then goes outwards. I like to do those kind of bridges. Anyway, we're gonna steer clear of that tornado that's back there. We'll just kind of turn away from it. Head out this way. Okay, so I'm going to bring our speed down to something a little more manageable. Something a little more fishing speed. Maybe about 5 knots, 5-ish. Yeah, it should be good there. Alright. Yeah, let's turn on the undersea lights too. Why not? It's getting nighttime, we can use some light out here. Alright, so the first nets I like to deploy is the rear net, because it's the easiest to deploy. So we want to go all winches out on that until she hits the water. And then we extend the net, which is here. And pretty much extend it as far as it'll extend. Want a huge, huge, huge net. I think we're about max on that. And then we lower the winches again. Winches out. You see that start to trail off behind us. Now my lower line has to be further out than my upper line. But right now you can see they're identical, so I'm gonna lower my I'm gonna out my lower line. Out there. Let them all out again. And I can go underwater and I can see how this net's kinda playing out, sort of. Maybe I can't because it's nighttime. But it should be kind of fanned out. I also have extenders on this, but I do not want to put them down until I get these guys out, or at least sideways. So I'm gonna lower out a little more. Maybe about 80, yeah. So we're gonna watch this guy until he hits about till he maxes out. Then we'll stop him. There we go. Okay. So we got the back lines out. Now we'll work on the side lines here. So these I need to put these in launch in fishing mode, which swings them out sideways. Okay. And then this one I do not have an all winches in and out. I just have the regular in and out. So we're gonna go our lowers out first. Get those in the water. Get our uppers out. Get those wet. So our uppers that are about 12, we want our lowers to be a little longer than that. And again, we're going to send these guys out quite a ways because we want them to be behind the boat. We don't want them to be under the boat. And we do want our lower lines to be longer than our upper lines, so it forms a wall, not a... we want it to form a wall. We don't want it to form a flat panel, you know? So those guys are at 25. Get these guys to about 20-ish, maybe now. You can kind of tell how things are going by the pull on the lines. See, we have a hard pull on the top. We have kind of a light pull on the bottom. So our lowers at, okay, that's uppers should be around 20-ish maybe. You want kind of an even pull on the lines. You don't want one line pulling more than the other lines. We're going to expand out our nets on these guys. And then I'll switch it to daytime so we can look under the water and see what's going on. I don't actually have these numbers memorized. I probably should. And I should probably make a note, you know. Just leave some notes behind. With the net fully extended, this is what this setting needs to be, and this is what this setting needs to be. Because it's easier to visually get them into position when you can see underwater. Okay, I think we're at full extension on these nets now. And I can already tell I got a little bit of an issue here. It's going sideways. So you can see how I have the nets under the boat like this. I have the crisscross pattern under the boat. That's kind of how I want them. The bottoms need to go a little bit more. So you can see how I'm letting out the bottoms and they're forming more of a wall. See how they're going down? And they're making kind of a wall back there. Now I have a wall at the upper, kind of high above the boat or behind the boat. The problem is, you see the lines crossing underneath the boat. We kind of don't want that, but that's the way we're ending up. And then this back net is very, very hard to see because it is so far out. But it is down much lower in the water. Let me see if I can turn this to daytime. Override time. Go daytime. So there's the back nets. You can see them underneath, covering the back of the boat. And then this net back here, which you can't see because it is so far under. Normally I don't put it out that far. So I will bring it back into the point where I can see it. All winches in. I normally don't put it out that far so I can't see it. Oh, there we go. There we go, we're starting to see it now. Okay, so the back net you can see is a wall. It's also a wall, and it's much further down than the top nets. So we're skimming the top, and we're also going down, and you can already see we have some fish in the bottom one. We got some fish trapped in the net already on the bottom one. Do we have any in the top one? Not really any fish in the top ones yet. But this is the fishing system for this boat. And you just basically drag it along. We don't need spotlights anymore. Oh, we need the nav lights. We don't need spotlights anymore. You basically drag it along. Like so. Doing about your 5 knots, 6 knots, something like that. You don't want to really go any faster because the nets will be all screwed up if you do. Oh, I forgot to let the back arms down. Drag arms. Gives the net on the back a much nicer shape. I shouldn't say nicer, I should say wider. It gives it a wider shape. Which you can't really see because, again, the net is so far out. So there you go. There's fishing in a nutshell on this boat. I guess I could bring it all in now. I don't think there's anything in the side nets, honestly. But we'll bring it in. So the first thing you want to do is retract your net. You want to do a net retract to bring your net tight. You can see what's happening, what happens under the. You can see what happens underneath. How the nets get smaller. This is about where the nets should be. They should be like this. So I extended the nets a little too far because they should be like that, with the bottoms in a little bit further, lowers in. So the lower should be in a little bit more just to kind of make it more of a wall, like that, something like that. So that's more of how it should be. It shouldn't be interfering with the boat. It should be clear of the boat, and it should be, you know, scooping on both sides of the ship. So that right there is how the nets should be laid out. So we have, what do we have? We have 28 and 20. So 28 and 20 is where those should be, with the net not necessarily fully extracted out. I don't really know how to check that. I think there's a way to check how far the net's out via the net system here, but I'm not reading that number, so I do not have that info. Anyway, let's retract our nets in. You see them getting smaller and smaller. I think we do have a fish. We have a fish. You see we've got a fish there. So we'll retract our nets in so they get smaller and smaller. And then we'll bring them up. I want to bring the lower in first, so it does kind of like a scoop. You'll see the lower kind of bring it up kind of scoop-like. This is where it would be nice to have an all-in button, because right now I would hit the all-in button. I do not have an all-in button, so... Oops. So we'll just bring them in a little bit at a time here. That's kind of why I have these dial indicators, so I can keep an eye on the difference between the two lines. I can see the numbers, but I can also visually see, you know, if they're way off different, if they're the same, if they're similar. So we're going to kind of keep these guys somewhat similar on the way up. Even though you really don't have to, I could reel them completely. I could reel the one completely in and leave the other one out a little ways, but I kind of don't want to be... I don't want to be sloppy with it, so... I mean, your fish aren't going to leave the net once they're in it. So our lower lines are almost out of the water. Our upper lines are right here too. We'll bring our upper lines all the way up. And then we'll bring in our lower lines. And there we go. Tract our net up. Still have our little fishy in there. So that's our side nets are in. Our side nets are up. We don't want to bring them in yet. We got them up. Okay, so I got to bring my drag arms in. Okay, and then we can winch her in. This one I can do all winches in. I want to keep an eye on the line length. I will have to bring the net in as well. But I don't necessarily want to bring the net in until I'm kind of almost at the surface. There we go. Now we'll bring the net in. You can see the lines converging towards the back of the boat. Alright, we bring our lowers in. Because our lowers are way out. Okay, and then we'll bring them all in. Look at those fish! Alright! We got fish! Now, before I dump the back ones, I want to dump the side ones. So we will bring our arms in to unloading mode, which brings them nicely over top of us. Oh, they got stuck. They're a little stuck there. Okay. So offloading mode, we let our lines down. Just so the net's kind of closer to the deck. And unload the fish. Unload our one fish. And then we bring these back up and sit them back out. Okay, once those are back off to the side, we can bring our main catch in. Bring our main arm over. Lower down, and winches out. There we go. Release the fish. There. Alright. Now I notice sometimes this happens. If I'm too close, what'll happen is they don't actually go in the hopper. They just kind of sit on the top for some strange unknown reason. And when that happens, what I do is I put the net kind of through the boat like that, and then sweep it. And that, of course, is Stormworks problem. It's not really a design problem, it's more of a Stormworks problem than anything else. So I just kind of sweep the net through the deck like so. It picks all the fish back up. I release them a little bit higher maybe, so they drop out. There they go. Now they're going in. There, they're all in. So, yeah, I don't know why it likes to do that. I guess if you release them too close to the hopper, just like we did with the crab boat. If you release it too close to the hopper, it won't go into the hopper. Another little feature I have here on the back is this guy here, which is like a little boarding / loading ramp. And what it's for is basically getting out of the water at the back of the boat, or getting into the water at the back of the boat. If you want to go swimming, whatever. So our net is retracted, winch is in. Okay, send this back out the back because it is high and unstable when it's forward. Oh, you fucker. Speaking of things that are high and unstable. Oh, no, get on the wheel. Get on the wheel. Crank it, you son of a bitch. We're gonna hit this puppy full on. We got perfect storm going on over here. Oh, and up we go. Climb, you bastard. Yow! I think she's gonna flip us. We're gonna end up on her ass. Oh, ho, 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 Nelly! Yow! Frickin' tsunamis. This game, they hit you like a brick wall. Alright, well, we made it. We made it over the tsunami. Anyway, so that's the fishing boat. That is the fishing boat. In a nutshell, we got our fishing catch on board. To offload the fishing catch, I have the same system that I have on the crabbing boat, which is right here. You just move the vacuum hopper to there, the shoreline vacuum hopper, and I forgot I did that. Smooth little railing. Yeah, so you move the vacuum hopper, or you can put the vacuum hopper anywhere on the deck and suck them all up. But yeah, that's basically it. So this is what I meant when I said the hull is kind of screwy, because I put this bridge on from another ship that I built. Just copied and pasted, and I didn't want to ruin the hull, so I kind of put it high, which kind of led to this weird, awkward kind of... I have like a half deck here. Well, it's a full deck, but it's kind of half deck because you have to step down. You got to step down to get into it, and then you got to step up to the bridge. It's kind of a weird design. And then, of course, if you come in here, you got straight down to the base to the lower deck. You can step up here to the front where there's some crew beds, and then you have a air duct which you can turn on. That'll pull in air from the outside. That was when they were messing around with sealed compartments. I thought I actually needed an air duct, so that's why that's there. All the lights are automatic. There's a player sensor, and all the lights are automatic. Sumps are also automatic, and these are indicator lights that tell you which sumps are running. So I have, this is the interior pump, which is from the floor here. And then I have the keel pump, which is, of course, the front. I have the bilge pump, which is in the center area. And then I have the transom pump, which is out in the back. And that's like, behind the walls in the hull section. On each side here, I have a bedroom on this side. This side here, we have another bedroom. And then we have our armory, which requires a key. I think I just did 1, 2, 3, 4. I think 1, 2, 3, 4. Yep. And then the armory back here with all the weaponry and shit. This is for when shit goes sideways. When you're out fishing and shit goes sideways. Then you just reset the code and the door's locked. And this, of course, is the motor. This is the glitch generator, as it's known. I decided to just forego the whole diesel engines and all that shit, and just decided to go with unlimited power, which is, you can see this guy's outputting a crazy amount of energy from the flywheel glitch. It is utilizing the flywheel glitch. So that's my motor. That's my engine. I do have several ships that run that. Then on the front we have a little fire station on this one. So I have the water I can turn on, and then I can go up and down with the water, left, right. So we have a bit of a fire fighting capability on this ship. It sucks the water from the sea down below. So yeah, that is the fishing boat. So we did a full fishing update in this one. I only intended to show you the crab boat, but we did a full fishing update. So there you go. Hopefully that inspires you to make your own designs and get out there. So that's going to be it for this episode. This is Jodian signing off. I will see you next time. Take care. Have a good one.